everyone, welcome to News Generation. In this episode, we will look into the issue of teen suicide. Over 500 teenagers in Ghana committed suicide in 2008. What is going on? We'll also be talking to you about it in WhatsApp. The civil war in Mali has been in the news lately. We'll be looking at why we should care about the issue. And Ghana didn't make it to the AFCON finals. That will be in sports.
News Generation, supported by
Omo, saving tough stains in just one step.
17-year-old junior high school pupil Kweku Asare was found lifeless on Monday. It is reported the Ashanti regional native committed suicide. His body was found hanging on a tree in the bush at Chamikrom in the Atrima Imponya district after he had been missing for about a week. No suicide note was left behind, and Kweku's family have no idea why he would have done such a thing. Suicides in Ghana are not uncommon. It is estimated 5 Ghanaians take their lives every day.
One suicide after the other, reports of people taking their own lives appear in the media almost every week. 9-year-old boy hangs himself. 13-year-old girl commits suicide. Twins commit suicide to punish dad. JSS student jumps to death, and many, many others. Information on suicides in Ghana gathered from the Network for Anti-Suicide and Crisis Prevention attributes a total of 1,556 deaths to suicide in the year 2008. Out of that number, the report indicates that people between the ages of 9 and 19 accounted for 531 of these deaths. The same research estimates that 5 people in Ghana take their lives every day. Reasons for the suicides vary, as explained by psychiatrist Dr. Kwesi Osei. He says most suicide cases among young people is caused by depression.
For every 100 cases of suicide you see, 95% of them are from mental health problem. So for those 95 people, they have a mental health problem. That's what pushed them to commit suicide or to attempt suicide. Now of these, about 80% of them are from depression. And that statement also holds true for children. So children may attempt suicide or may complete suicide because they may have a mental health problem, and most of which is depression. And that makes people wonder, so you mean children can also have depression? Children don't have any problem? That is not true. Children have their own problems and they can have depression. So depression has its various ways of manifesting depending on the age group. So a child, a teenage boy or teenage girl may have depression, and if you have depression, it gives you a certain sense of worthlessness, a certain sense of guilt, a certain sense of I don't feel like living, or you may even actually hear voices asking you to go and kill yourself. You may then respond. That is suicide. That's depression. For others who may not be having depression, they may go through what we call acute stress reaction. So they go through a certain situation in their mind. They may consider it a shameful situation, an embarrassing situation, or a certain hurt that they cannot stand. And that pushes them on the spur of the moment to think about the only way out is for me to kill myself, suicide.
According to the National Anti-Suicide and Crisis Prevention Organization, it is up to the whole nation to step up on dealing with the suicide issue. Government, parents, teachers, and the community.
And there were over 1,500 deaths by suicide in Ghana in the year 2008, according to statistics. And over 500 of that number involved teenagers. We are going to speak to the director of the National Anti-Suicide and Crisis Prevention Organization on the phone. He will be joining us from Ho in the Volta region. Hello, Mr. Dali. Thank you for joining us all the way from Ho.
Thank you.
So we have read the reports from 2008. Has the situation changed since then?
Well, thank you, and hello to all your viewers across the country. The situation, whether it has changed or not, it's a question we would be unable to emphatically say yes or no about, because apart from that year, we haven't been able to conduct a nationwide survey to ascertain the figures we are only relying so far on media, reports like what you have run and what other, media organizations do. Therefore, it is very difficult to say it has changed from 2008.
Okay. So, since we don't know what the situation is right now, what is your organization doing about suicide in Ghana?
Well, suicide if you look at it in Ghana, I think that it's very difficult to put intervention policies and programs because the nation has not even accepted it as a real issue confronting us. And that is why you don't find any policy or program anywhere from any ministry, department, or agency tackling the issues of suicide. But reports all over the country, expose us as Ghanaians to the reality of suicide, and specifically to your program, Team Suicide. So we are trying to, as it were, let people be aware that, one, suicide is real. Two, it cuts across all ages. Three, it cuts across all, social, status. It's a respecter of no person.
Okay, so Mr. Daly, you mentioned a couple of measures that you are trying to put in place. Now, what are the challenges you are facing with this work?
Ghana doesn't recognize suicide as a cause of death. It is put under, death from unnatural causes. So that alone makes it very difficult to measure the figure.
Wow, it seems a lot still needs to be done to really highlight this issue. What can individuals, parents, teachers, the communities do to help prevent suicide?
We all want to have to watch out for the warning signs. Fortunately for us, there is enough information out there about suicide and prevention. It is not, to a very large extent, something that just happens spontaneously. Most people who commit suicide actually, show the signs and in some cases the symptoms. So let us watch out for people.
Is there any other number people can call if they suspect someone is behaving oddly or someone has talked about taking their own life?
Yes, over the years we have tried to put one of our lines, that's from the Network for Anti-Suicide and Crisis Intervention. We have tried to put out one of our telephone numbers,
okay.
Which actually we try to run 24/7.
What's
that
the number?
line, I would love.
If you can please give us the number.
Oh, okay. Within the country, anyone can call 0244573734. And in most cases, it comes to me directly or one of our staff. And they will take it up wherever the person is. We'll speak. I will go over the number again. 0244573734. And this is not only, I will also encourage that not only people who are suicidal should call, but also people who are concerned about issues of suicide, those who want to be part of the network should also call.
All
because
right.
we have a conversation and see how best we can make society safe.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us all the way from Ho to talk about this issue.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day. So do not take it for granted if anyone even hints of taking their life. It is a preventable death. If you don't know what to do to help such a person, please call this number. It is 0244-573734. The number again is 0244-573734. After looking at the issues concerning suicide, we also asked some of your thoughts about it. Here's what you told Adelaide in WhatsApp.
It is estimated that 5 Ghanaians commit suicide daily. An available statistic by Network for Anti-Suicide and Crisis Prevention indicates that 1,556 Ghanaians committed suicide last year. Out of this number, 531 were children between the ages of 9 and 19. So what's up with all that? why do teenagers commit suicide?
I think some teenagers commit suicide because most of the times they are not given the kind of care and attention they want from their parents. And also sometimes it's because of a broken heart. Maybe broken-hearted because she thinks her parents are doing favoritism because they like their siblings better than them.
I think depression is one of the reasons why young people commit suicide nowadays. So
teenagers commit suicide because they can't bear the pain. Sometimes they feel like they are social misfits. So when they can't really bear the pain, I think they end up committing suicide.
Oh, actually, it's because of their indecent behaviors, which results in stuff like getting girls pregnant. They can't stand the shyness in the community, so then they decide to get rid of shyness and other accumulations.
Because of failure in life, when they write exams and they do not pass, they will just think of it or drink any poisonous substances, or what their parents says about them, that this my child is very useless, it's not important, and this and that. So that can enable them.
Your views on WhatsApp. Now, the 11-year-old girl who was allegedly forced to sit on boiling water by her grandparents has been discharged from the police hospital in Accra. The young girl has recovered and will be back in school soon. She will no longer live with her grandparents. The police say they are yet to determine, along with her relatives, who she will be staying with. The young girl, who wants to be a nurse, spoke to News Generation when she left the hospital.
The 11-year-old has been in hospital for a month after suffering severe burns from being forced to sit on hot water due to her wetting the bed. Doctors at the police hospital say the young girl has physically recovered after weeks of receiving treatment at hospital. Head of Social Welfare Services Department at the hospital is DSP Alfred Bauer. He says the little girl will be given psychological support.
The child is also being counseled, and that counseling support will continue for some time until we are sure that the trauma she has suffered is completely minimized and she will be strong and her dignity will return to her.
Meanwhile, the grandparents of the girl who were alleged to have forced her to sit on hot water have been granted bail by an Accra Circuit Court.
Well, there were other stories which made headlines in Ghana during the week. Let's see what they were.
The Volta River Authority says consumers should be hopeful as the company works to end load shedding across the country. VRA says it will only be possible to end load shedding if it can get more gas by the end of March. Cancer treatment will soon be added to the National Health Insurance Scheme. According to the Chief Director of the Ministry of Health, this will enable hundreds of patients access medical care and prevent most of them from using unconventional treatment. Elections for members of Council of State was held across the country. One person each was elected from the 10 regions of Ghana. 11 additional members will be appointed by the President, while 4 others will represent other public institutions. The Council of State is a constitutional body that advises the President in the performance of his duties. President John Mahama has officially moved from the Osu Castle to the Flagstaff House at Kanda in Accra, where he will conduct all government business. The President is also expected to take up residence at the Flagstaff House in the near future. Bernard Ahiafo has won the Akachi South by-election. He had 12,079 votes to beat 2 other candidates, Ivan Gajeto, independent candidate, who had 8,312 votes, and PPP's Anthony Chikata, who had 369. The Akachi South seat became vacant following the appointment of the Member of Parliament, Do Ajaho, as Speaker of the House.
Well, it's time for a break now, but when we come back, we will be looking into the issue of Mali.
Sometimes a stained t-shirt can make you the happiest man. Now Now Omo Multi-Active removes even tough stains in just one step. Best ever stain removal from Omo.
Welcome back. You're still watching News Generation. Now, for just over 3 weeks, news of Mali seems to have dominated the airwaves. However, the situation goes way back to just over a year ago. Groups in the northern part of the West African country have been fighting the Malian government for independence, throwing the country into what is now a civil war. Ghana and other West African countries have contributed troops to ensure peace in Mali. But should we care about the issue here in Ghana? Should we even be discussing it? We decided to visit some schools to find out what young people think about it.
Today we are going to discuss the Malian conflict, okay? As you know, Mali is part of Africa. Which part of Africa is Mali in? West Africa.
These students are in the Human Geography class. They are learning about Mali following the recent conflict in that country. None of these students have experience of conflict, nor have they felt the effects of it. For many of them, the conflict in Mali could affect people living in Ghana if not dealt with quickly. These students at the Canadian International College think it is important for them to learn and know what the situation is in Mali.
I think it's important to learn about Mali because, first of all, they are fighting. There is war. We all know that war is not good and war affects us in so many ways. And we are children and our future, may affect us in the future if to a country like Mali is having war because we live in Ghana and Ghana is a neighboring country.
I guess it's important because we get to learn other people's opinions and get to learn new ideas. And also, since we are the future leaders, we need to know what our leaders are doing now in order to learn from their mistakes.
How do they think we should solve the crisis in Mali?
Mali is a member of ECOWAS. It will obviously be good that other countries also come to support, like in other words, come and help fight neighboring countries. Most people who really trade with Mali a lot and are usually into Malian affairs would really help because this situation is really affecting a lot of people, and if we as Africans don't come to curb a situation like this, it could spread around, and this is something we're all trying to prevent, so it's just best if people come together to support.
It is better to talk about a conflict instead of using violence and war.
Mali is located in the northeastern Africa and gained independence from France in 1960 with Bamako as its capital. It is a member of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. It is the 66th most populous country in the world with a population of over 15 million. Mali is now caught up in a violent conflict between government alien forces and Islamic rebels with links to Al-Qaeda. So how did the conflict start? It started when Tuareg rebels led a rebellion in the north of Mali in January 2012 in a bid for independence. The Malian military then staged a coup in March 2012, and some major towns including Timbuktu, Gao and Kidal came under the control of armed groups. The rebels broke off the peace talk at the beginning of January 2013 and subsequently took control of Kona and Diabali, about 400 kilometers from the capital, Bamako. One of their aims was to introduce Islamic laws across the country. The practice of Islamic law has been going on in other countries in the world for years now. So should one be forced into a religion through war?
You have a right to belong to any religion, Christian, Islamic, Buddhist or anything. So no one can force you to do anything that is not of your own free will. Yeah, so
it's not by force to ask someone to come and worship like to accept your religion. Because maybe someone would like to be a traditionalist because that's what he thinks, he believes, or he or she believes in. Yeah.
Or to discuss, to lobby. You fight arms.
Now, There seems to be an end in sight as the European Union, the African Union, the United Nations and the World Bank have met to discuss holding elections in Mali and also providing humanitarian assistance. We'll be keeping an eye on the situation. We're taking a quick trip around the world now to see what else happened in different countries.
The Tunisian opposition leader was shot dead in front of his house on Wednesday. This sparked protest by supporters who were dispersed by tear gas from police. Both the Tunisian Prime Minister and French President condemned the assassination. Hundreds of Chinese around the world celebrated the start of the Chinese New Year or Lunar Year with the Year of the Snake. Festivities including parades and dragon floats are being held in major cities including London and New York. Following a majority vote by MPs 400 to 175, a bill to legalize same-sex marriage in Britain moved one step closer to becoming law. If passed, the bill will put Britain on par with 10 other countries where same-sex marriage is legal. 9 female polio vaccinators were killed in the northern Nigerian state of Kano. Analysts believe the attacks may have been the work of militant Islamic group Boko Haram. Police told the BBC the health workers were shot by gunmen in 2 shootings 30 minutes apart.
And that was News Round. Now we are back home in Ghana, NIMA to be specific, where a non-governmental organization, Nima Muhimanchi Art, organizes weekend programs for children to freely express themselves through art. It's their way of addressing the gap in some schools where children do not have the opportunity to do art.
Every Saturday, children like 14-year-old Asanatu Nuruddin gather at the Nima Community Library to learn about art. Almost all of them live in the neighborhood, and most have dreams of becoming professional artists.
I want to be an artist.
This workshop is called Nima Muhimanchi Art. It was created by Larry and his colleagues to provide an opportunity for art to flourish in Nima since they felt art was dying there.
So we had a lot of challenges when it comes to art because anybody in this community who picks art as a subject, has a problem with his family, at the same time has a problem with friends. They think maybe you are a lazy student or you are not clever enough. That's why you pick art.
But the need to inspire has its limitations. It is no coincidence that there are only 3 girls in this art class. Asanatu is the only girl from Nima. She joined the class 7 months ago.
Most of the girls in Ghana don't like art. But as for me, I like it very much.
Like many other girls her age, Asanatu's desire to do something different was stronger than staying at home. Perhaps there would be more girls doing art if the classes were taught as part of school curriculum everywhere. But Celestine Pobi, who has been attending the workshop for more than a year, says this is not the case.
In Ghana here, we don't take art seriously. That's our problem. So when you find a female person doing this thing, then you can see that the person is serious with their work. Smile.
Then change style.
Every year, Nima Muhimanchi Art tries to organize a workshop. We will let you know when the next Nima Art Festival will be held. It will definitely be sometime this year.
Sometimes a stained t-shirt can make you the happiest mom. Now Omo Multi-Active removes even tough stains in just 1 step. Best ever stain removal from Omo.
Welcome back to News Generation. Now let's talk sports. So, what kind of sports do you enjoy? Today is the final of the African Cup of Nations. We all know what happened to the Black Stars. But the final is between Burkina Faso and Nigeria. So who will you be rooting for? What about racing and cycling? All coming up in Sports Round.
The Stallions of Burkina Faso reached their first final in the African Cup of Nations after beating Ghana in a penalty shootout after extra time, while the Super Green Eagles of Nigeria thrashed the Eagles of Mali by 4-1 to reach the finals of the African Cup of Nations. Nigeria will take on the Stallions of Burkina Faso in Sunday's final. Lewis Hamilton's first day of testing for his new Mercedes team got off to a sorry start when he crashed after 15 laps because of a braking difficulty. The 2008 world champion lost control at the end of the back straight at the Jerez circuit in southern Spain. Hamilton was unhurt after moving across a gravel trap and into a tire wall. His team was unable to fix the car to run in time again, continuing a troubled start to their 2013 campaign. There are reports from the U.S. press that cyclist Lance Armstrong is facing a new federal inquiry after admissions he took performance-enhancing drugs. ABC News reported that agents are actively investigating Armstrong for obstruction, witness tampering, and intimidation. Armstrong confessed to taking performance-enhancing drugs during all 7 of his Tour de France wins in an interview with U.S. television host Oprah Winfrey last month.
Sports Round, everybody. Now, last Thursday, President John Mahama moved into the Flagstaff House. That makes the Flagstaff House now the seat of government. In Adelaide's Landmark of the Week today, we're going to tell you a little bit more about the Flagstaff House.
Flagstaff House is the presidential palace in Accra. The house was the official residence of the first president of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. It later came to be used as army headquarters. In November 2008, the governing New Patriotic Party reconstructed and inaugurated Flagstaff House with the name Golden Jubilee House in order to be used as offices for the president. The original budget for the reconstruction was $80 million as a loan from Indian government. However, the new government of President John Evans Atta Mills moved the office of the president back to the Osu Castle and later changed the sign in front of the Flagstaff House building back to its original name. In February 2013, President John Mahama and Vice President Kwesi Amissah-Arthur moved their offices back to the Flagstaff House and announced plans for it to become the official presidential residence again.
And that was Adelaide's Landmark of the Week. Remember, you can also send us pictures of your favorite landmarks and we will use them on the show. That's it for this week, but before we go, we leave you with this inspirational quote. But remember, you can also send us your inspirational quotes and we will use them as well. See you next week.
News Generation, supported by
Omo, saving tough stains in just one step.